We'll look at measured levels of vitamin D in the blood serum. Almost all of our vitamin D is stored in blood. The scientific name for this form of vitamin D is 25-hydroxy-vitamin D. For simplicity, I call it just 25D. In the United States and some other countries, 25D is measured in nanograms per ml, which is abbreviated NG/M. L. However, in some countries a different unit is used. There they use nanomoles per liter, which is abbreviated NMOL/L. If you ever read a scientific publication about vitamin D, be sure to know which of these two units are being used by the authors of that paper, because they are not the same. 1 nanogram per milliliter is equal to 2.5 nanomoles per liter. If you're reading a paper that has nanomoles per liter, you can change that number into nanograms per milliliter by simply dividing the nanomoles per liter by 2.5. There are several key levels of 25D that we should all become familiar with before looking at these studies. 10 nanograms per ml is the level which can prevent rickets. Now, rickets was the very first disease in 1926, could be treated and cured with supplementation of vitamin D, and the level that happens at is 10. Less than 20 nanograms per milliliter is considered by almost all top vitamin D scientists as vitamin D deficiency. 20 nanograms is deemed adequate by U.S. governmental health agencies and other American medical organizations, but this data is at least 40 years out of date. 20 to 29.9 nanograms per milliliter is considered to be vitamin D insufficiency. It's not low enough to be deficiency, but it's also not high enough to be adequate. So it's called vitamin D insufficiency. Now, there's plenty of diseases that are much more common when vitamin D levels are insufficient, but they're even more common when vitamin D levels are deficient. Now, finally, 30 to 100 nanograms per ml is considered by almost all top vitamin D scientists to be adequate. We use the adequate term rather than normal or ideal because we still are not fully certain what is the ideal level of 25D, but we're getting much closer to that answer. I discussed that interesting information in another YouTube video entitled Paleo Levels of Vitamin D.